Welcome and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to share a story with you about a 28-year-old man from Detroit, Michigan, who thought it would be a real good idea to shoot at a Detroit police precinct with an AR-15. Now, I've done some stories about some stupid people on my channel, but this guy takes the cake. He was a one-man army who waged a war against the Detroit police. And I don't think I need to tell you who won. Let's get started. On November 30th of 2020, Detroit police say they received a call about a shooting near Grand River in Warren Roads, not far from downtown Detroit. When they arrived on scene, they say they found a 28-year-old woman who had been shot multiple times and killed, and the shooter had fled the scene. When they investigated the woman's murder, they learned that the woman was involved in a custody dispute with the father of her child. That man then became a person of interest in the case, and police say he was wanted for questioning. Police say they tried to locate the father of the victim's child throughout the night and morning hours, but to no avail. While the police were searching for their potential suspect, a family member of the murdered woman received a text message from him stating that he told everyone he was going to kill her if she tried to take his child, and that a specific judge and the police were going to pay for helping her take his child away. At approximately 5:30 the next morning, officers in the area of Detroit Police Precinct Number 5 received a distress call coming from inside the precinct. Officers at the front desk said they took cover because they were being fired upon and they needed help. According to the chief of police, none of the officers inside the precinct were harmed because the bulletproof glass stopped the bullets, but they were unable to see who was outside shooting, so they were unable to fire back to defend themselves. During a press conference held by the chief of police, he said officers raced to the scene, but as they arrived, they were also fired upon by a man leaning over the hood of his SUV with an AR-15. One officer took fire to his windshield as he arrived on scene and was injured by broken glass as his windshield shattered. Before the officers were able to surround him and return fire, the suspect fled in his SUV, but only about a half a mile to a parking lot where he pulled in and just sat there. At that point, the chief said he felt it was unsafe to have officers try to approach his vehicle, so a special armored task force was called in to take over. During the standoff with police, while they were waiting for the task force, the chief said the suspect started using his turn signals and tapping his brakes to try to lure officers in. When the armored truck approached alongside the suspect's vehicle, officers could see him inside with the gun on his chest, ready to fire. When he was ordered to drop his weapon outside of his vehicle, the chief said he signaled negative to the officers and raised his weapon to them. At that point, the Special Task Force officers fired on his vehicle and say he returned fire until he was shot dead. After the incident, the shooter was identified as the person of interest they were looking for in connection with his child's mother's murder the day prior. I think it would be safe to call this suicide by cop at this point. But why? Because he didn't want to go to prison? Then why kill your child's mother? Wouldn't you rather live to fight for visitation with your child and let your child have his or her mother? Or was it just a case of, if I can't have my child, then you can't either, and neither one of us should continue to live? Just seems awfully extreme to me. Even if she got full custody, I would imagine he would still get visitation. I have a gut feeling that this whole thing didn't have too much to do with the child at all. I think it was the result of a power struggle between him and his child's mother, and he wanted her dead for fighting him for custody and putting him through a court battle. Sounds like there may have been some domestic violence calls as well that made him want to wage war with the police. According to the chief of police, the shooter had a history of domestic violence leading to a warrant being issued for his arrest in the city of Southfield, just north of Detroit. Now, I've mentioned in a couple of my videos now about a little search engine called Google that we can all use to search criminal records on people before you get involved with them. And yet I keep doing stories about women who date men with prior violent criminal records who end up getting murdered by them. So I don't know if they aren't watching my videos or if they just aren't taking me seriously. So since my Google suggestion doesn't seem to be helping much, I thought I'd borrow a famous phrase from one of my favorite YouTubers who runs the AFC podcast channel that might get your attention a little better. Ready? When you date thugs, you date death. How's that for you? I don't think it gets much clearer than that. So now you have a choice. You can be smart and find out who you're getting involved with so you can run like hell, or you can take your chances that you could be dating a thug, therefore you and your children could be dating death. It's your call. And I'm not saying that people who don't have prior criminal records won't hurt you, but at least you probably have a 50-50 chance with someone with no history of violence as opposed to someone with a long history of it. How does that saying go? The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior? Yeah, believe it. If he or she has done it before, they'll probably do it again. But, like I said, it's your call. You want to date a bad boy? Then be ready to pay the price. If you don't care enough about yourself or your children to sit your happy ass down for 15 minutes to do a background check on someone you plan on dating, then maybe dating isn't for you. If you feel that 15 minutes would be better spent dolling yourself up for someone who may ultimately take your life, 'cause it'll never happen to you, then you're better off just staying single. At least you'll live, and I won't end up doing a true crime story about you on my YouTube channel. Think I'm exaggerating? I already did a story about a member of a true crime group I'm in who was murdered by her husband, and a second member of the group has gone missing, and police suspect her significant other had something to do with it. So don't think it can't happen to you. Do it for yourself. And if you have children, do it for them. Don't put them through hell because you didn't take the time to find out who you were bringing into their lives. Let this story serve as a lesson to you. One more child who will grow up without his or her parents because his mother dated a thug and dated death. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you on my next video.